Hey guys, I'm doing another tutorial video for Ibuki for beginners, and in this tutorial I'm going to be going over her special moves. So I'm going to go through them one by one, just talk about how they're used in a match. So first off, her signature move, her Kunai. So her Kunai has three different arcs, the light, medium, and heavy. Light goes pretty much right next to her, medium goes about a third of the screen. Heavy goes a little more than half screen. So the light is the one that's probably the most important because the light is used in her mix-ups. So you can basically do something like this, throw it out there as they're getting up, like that. The kunai has a lot of hit stun, so you're able to combo after it when it hits. It also has a lot of recovery, so it's a lot harder to use than Akuma's Fireball if you're just like throwing it out to chip or whatever. And because it doesn't stay out, it doesn't stay, out in the field very long. It doesn't really cover that much ground. So like I said, the Light Punch one is used the most for basically her mix-ups and stuff. I mean, if you're trying to chip someone out, this can work if you know your angles really well. But another thing about the kunai is that it's very easy to beat with other moves. Like Ryu here can just uppercut straight through it. So it's another thing that you can't do, if it was a fireball. So I'll talk about the EX one now. So the EX goes full screen. The only kunai that does. There's two kunais, so it can't be. You can focus one, but they come out so fast that the other one will hit while you're focusing. So this is a great tool for ending the match, for trying to chip them out or just finishing them. It's also great for hitting them out of the air, and it does a decent damage. Another thing about the kunai before I move on is that you can do the kunai at all different arcs of your jump. There's no requirement. You can do it really early. You can also do instant air kunai. If you don't know this technique, this is where you do down, forward, up, and you can do kunai as soon as you jump, which I am failing at. So yeah, with the instant air kunai, you can pull off some really crazy mix-ups and stuff like that. You can see how low it goes to the ground right there. So you can knock them down and then just do that. I keep messing it up, but you get the idea. Anyhow, I'll move on to her next move. So now I'll be talking about her next move, her Tusumuji go. Sorry if I messed up the pronunciation, but it's basically this, and it's basically useless. There's really no point in doing this in a match. Usually if you see an Ibuki do this, it'll be an input error. You can do a kunai from it, but it's just really useless. There's really not many chances for you to do this. So now I'm going to talk about her neck breaker, which is a very important move. So it goes about almost half screen with the light punch version. Medium punch goes a little more than mid screen. The heavy version goes full screen, always. So outside of combos, the light and medium ones really aren't that useful. The heavy version is good for punishing certain things that you can't reach. Like you can punish a teleport really easily with this since it goes full screen. If someone just does something full screen you want to punish. But in combos, it's a very important move because it's a hard knockdown, so you can use it to set up mix-ups and cross-ups and all that stuff. And it puts her at an interesting position. Right about here is a really great position because you could move up a little bit and set up a cross-up. You could do her command dash and do other stuff, which I'll talk about. But yeah, really good move in combos. So the EX version of Neckbreaker it doesn't go full screen like the Heavy Punch version, as you see. It just about whiffs on Ryu full screen. It goes almost full screen. It does a little bit more damage. It's very fast, as you can see, and it's projectile invincible. This is one of Ibuki's tools for getting around fireball characters. So once you get that meter, it's a little bit scary because if you do get that neck breaker off, then it's going to be right into that mix-up situation. It pushes her much farther away, but you can still dash up and do your mix-ups. So I'm going to talk about her Rada. This isn't that great of a move to just throw out. There are some uses, like, because it's a move and not a grab, you can actually grab Dalsim's arms with it, which is really cool, but hard to pull off. You can also use it as throw bait because it's throw invincible, so you can bait out throws with it. Still not really that useful. It can be used in combos. Usually you'll see Ibukis do this in the corner after like this, so they can do certain setups, because again it causes a hard knockdown, but otherwise not very useful. EX has a bit more range and it does a lot more damage, but still not that useful. So now I'm going to talk about her command dash, her Kasumi Geiki. So this move, it comes out very, very quickly, as you can see. The versions, you can't really tell the difference at full screen, but once you get near someone, you can really tell what the difference is between the versions. So the light punch version and the medium punch version don't go through the opponent, but the heavy version does. So it's very important when you want to get used to this move. You can do some tricks with it. You could you can cancel into it. No, you can cancel into it, so you can do something like this, not that, this. So you can mix them up a bit. You can do something like this, have some fun with them, kind of a cross-up. It doesn't really work that well on more advanced players, but if you're playing players that don't really know how to deal with this can be very annoying. It can also be good after a stun. You're doing like a huge stun combo and you want to reset them, you could do something like that, or just something like this, and then maybe go for a grab or something. There's a bunch of different things you can like play around with to do. It's also nice after certain setups, like a neck breaker. You could do any one of the versions and you'll be in a different position, so you can set up a cross-up. Or you can do something like this, and then do an overhead. There's a bunch of different uses for it. So you just have to mess around with it, and it gives her a little bit of mobility options. So now I'm going to talk about her Kazi, or her, I guess, Dragon Punch is what most people would call it, her up kick. So this move isn't very good. It can be used as a combo finisher to do the most damage possible from her combo, but you won't get a hard knockdown, so it usually isn't worth it unless you're going to win the round. It can be used as an anti-air, but I wouldn't recommend it. She has much better anti-airs. It can be used in certain juggles, like it can juggle off of her back medium punch in the air. It can juggle in the corner off certain things, so there are some uses for it, but by itself it usually doesn't do much. You could also focus cancel it to pull off some interesting tricks. There's a bunch of like little things you could do. One of my favorites, I guess I'll just show you guys, is doing it in the corner and then doing some crazy mix-ups there, but again, not really that useful. Her EX version is probably her best reversal. It's still not very good, but it's her best reversal. It'll straight up beat a lot of stuff, but it will not handle cross-ups well at all. Another thing about the EX is on hit or on block, you can cancel it into a kunai, which again, okay, so at the beginner or intermediate level, that can be useful, because usually if they block it, they'll think they can punish you, and then you throw out the kunai and then it hits them. But when you start to play more advanced and you play against people who know Ibuki, it really doesn't help, because focus attack. That's basically it. What'll happen is they'll block this, and then you'll do your kunai, and then they'll focus, so they'll absorb the kunai, and once they absorb it, they'll let it go and hit you. Or you can not do the kunai, and they just let the focus go anyway, and it'll still hit you. So once you know how to deal with Ibuki, that option to throw the kunai is pretty much useless. So the only way you're really getting out of this is burning like burning 3 bars, which usually won't happen with Ibuki because it comes out so fast. So next I'm going to talk about her Tusumuji, her spin kicks. So the light version is very fast. You'll see a lot of high-level Ibuki players use this as a poke, or usually they'll cancel it with other normals, like this is really good, or this is really good, because it's very safe. It's a very safe move to cancel from and do some chip. You'll also see it used in a lot of high-level combos when they start to do some Tusumuji links and one-frame combos. I could try those. You basically just do a jab after the kicks, but it's very difficult. You can see right there. So the medium version and the heavy version come out a lot slower, but the medium and the heavy version also have another thing they can do, which is they can do a third kick on hit. So I'll show you that right now. So there's the third kick. The important thing about this third kick is that you can also do it, you could also turn it into a sweep, so like that, which can be very useful. You can, another way you can just set up the knockdown. So the EX version is always 4 kicks, and any one of the 4 quick kicks you can cancel into a sweep. Well, not the first one, but all the other ones you can cancel into a sweep. What's important about that is that it won't actually sweep them. You'll see only the last kick will sweep them, so you don't have to worry about doing it early and sweeping them. This can be very useful if you just want to guarantee the knockdown and do some nice damage. I sometimes like to do this off an overhead, like that, because it's very easy to hit confirm. This is also one of her best tools for juggling in the corner, because this puts them in a juggle state, but only in the corner can you really do anything off of it. So the last move that she has, her last special move, is the high-in, which is this. Again, not the most useful move. There are certain things you can do with this. You can super cancel it, which I do use occasionally to catch them off guard. Maybe after a knockdown, I'll just dance around and then do that, and then super cancel it for a lot of damage. This is also really safe, so this is a really good chip setup. They usually won't see it coming. You can just do that and then chip them out. But really, otherwise, there aren't that many uses for this. I'm pretty sure in certain situations you can cross up with this, but it's kind of difficult to set up. It might be easier to do on like larger characters. Like I think that might have been a cross up. The X version of this is full screen. Well, it's not full screen, but it's tracking. So anywhere you are, it'll go to them. And again, you can also cancel that into the kunai, like the other ones. This really isn't that useful because of how long it takes her to travel. As you can see, it's very easy to react to, and certain characters can punish it on block, so really not very useful. I would not use my meter on that. But, you know, you never know. Could catch someone off guard. So now I'm going to talk about her super. Her super is pretty useful, but the thing about it is it can be very tough to land at high level because of what you need to do to land it. There's a lot of different setups for it. I already showed you this one. One of my personal favorites is doing standing roundhouse, which juggles them, and then a super jump into super cancel, which takes some practice to do, but not really that hard. The problem is landing the stand roundhouse and knowing it's going to work. So if you know your kunai is going to hit when they're coming up, then that can be a good setup for it. But when you start practicing her a lot and you start getting good at her super canceling of her normals, you could start to learn how to do her super from her ground normals, which will look something like this. Let's see if I can pull it off. I'm a little out of practice. There we go. But you can cancel that, you know, from maybe a jab into her standing forward, or there's a few different options. But the more moves you put in before it, the harder it'll be to make sure it combos. It also depends on the character you're fighting against. But it could be a nice super. It's also really good for chip. So it has its uses. But the thing with Ibuki is usually you'll be using her meter for other things. But if you do save it, then you got to think about those more complicated ways you could land it. So I'm going to quickly touch on our Ultra 1, even though I don't have it up right now. I don't really use it that often. It can be used with certain option selects, but it's really not a great tool for me. It can punish certain things, like Aiden's Jaguar kicks, like certain, or flip kick or whatever. So, you can do it for that. You could also use it for throw bait again. Because it's not a 0 frame grab or anything like that, it's like Zangief's grab, it's really not that great. Hoping they make it better at some point. Her Ultra 2 is what I usually use. Her Ultra 2, right there, it goes about 3/4 of the screen. It is projectile invincible. And it's a much easier input than her Ultra 1. So there are certain situations you could use it for. I definitely like having it out because it's an easier input for me personally. And yeah, I just like using it. They did make it juggle in the most recent patch. So you could do things like this. Be very fast. I messed it up. But you can juggle it. It'll do a tiny bit of damage, not much. But to kill, it can be useful. So that's about it. That's all her special moves. A quick note, I didn't mention this before, but her neck breaker, as I said, causes a hard knockdown. In the new patch that's going to be coming out in a long time, but when it does come out, it's no longer going to cause a hard knockdown. So that's going to really change her mix-up potential. However, you'll probably see more Ibukis go to her spin kicks to get the knockdown. So yeah, this has been a tutorial on Ibuki. If you have any questions or comments, anything, you want to talk to me about Ibuki, send me a message or on YouTube or leave a comment. But yeah, that's about it. I will see you guys later. Bye.